In this video, I want to go over the concepts of how I, me, we, and us works in Japanese. It may seem overwhelming, but I actually think this is fairly easy to learn and understand. Because of the way the Japanese language works when expressing these four words, I'm going to make this video about how to use all of them in one shot. It may seem somewhat strange at first, but because of their unique relationship to each other, once I elaborate on it, I think you'll come to understand why I'm tackling all of these words in one video. But if you end up having any challenges, it'll most likely be due to memorizing the absurd number of words there are for I. Allow me to explain. The Japanese have a huge variety of personal pronouns, differing in use by formality, gender, age, social status, and regional dialect. Something that many learners are unaware of is that Japanese has several dialects. Although there's one language that's universally used and taught in schools known as Hyojungo, otherwise known as the Tokyo dialect. It's the Japanese we all know and love, spoken in and around Tokyo, on TV, in anime, newspapers, etc., etc. This is the official language of Japan. But it should be noted in case you encounter it, that many regional differences exist to the extent that it can be confusing even to native Japanese people. For the sake of simplicity, I'm only going to cover the most popularly used pronouns in this video. So let's start there. The first way to say I most learners are usually introduced to is Watashi. That is the standard unisex polite I. Both men and women of all ages use it everywhere from formal occasions to business to public situations, you name it. So, if you're ever not sure which I word you should use, this is your safest bet. Similar to Watashi is the word Atashi. By dropping the W, it becomes an informal effeminate I word. It has a kind of cutesy nuance to it, so it's generally used by high school girls. Although, it's not uncommon to see gay men use Atashi as well. Also, make note that this word has no kanji, so it's usually written in hiragana, because kanji are generally seen as masculine. But since this word comes from Watashi, you might see it listed with this character in some dictionaries. Boku is an I word that's very common among teenage and college-age guys. It's what some might call a soft masculine word. Although it's an expression used primarily by men under 30, boyish girls are also known to use this. I've heard many female J-pop artists use boku in song lyrics, notably Kyary Pamyu Pamyu. Despite its literal meaning, which is manservant, its modern connotation is informal and typically considered rude to use with seniors, bosses, or other authority figures. So it's best not to use this one except with close conversation partners. This is a distinctly masculine word. This is the word tough guys in anime use to come off as macho. If boku is the soft masculine I word, then ore would be the hard masculine. This is probably the most commonly used personal pronoun among groups of men. Ore can imply a rough or self-confident character. Although you'd be hard-pressed to find someone use it in a polite situation, ore can actually convey a sense of intimacy. And lastly, all these I words double as me in Japanese. I and me are the same. Unlike English, there's no separate word for me. That's really all there is to know about that. A special note. Although you would rarely see this in English, unless someone intends it comically, because usually when someone is referring to themselves in third-person perspective, they are either a narcissist or suffering from schizophrenia. But in Japanese, it's possible to use your own name in place of I. However, be careful if you decide to use it, because I've been told this manner of speaking is mostly used by school kids, so it's frowned upon as being somewhat childish. Just like I and me is essentially the same in Japanese, the use of we and us works the same way as well. There's only some difference of politeness. You may have heard that ware means we, and yes, it does. But it's a bit formal, and so you're not likely to hear it much out of regular folks. But if you just want to remember one word to blanketly use above all others, you can choose to use that. But for listening purposes, I think this is an important bit of info to know. Although you can just memorize one word for extreme economy, it won't help you in the event that everyone around you is saying one of the I words plus tachi to mean we. So, how do you convert I into we or us? It's actually really simple. Just add tachi to make it we. So if you hear Watashi tachi, it means we, as does Atashi tachi, boku tachi, and ore tachi. It should be noted that for both Watashi tachi and Atashi tachi, the pronunciation changes a bit. The last E is typically dropped, so it sounds more like Watashi plus tachi. The U on boku is also dropped a lot, so it sounds more like boku tachi. In addition to tachi, in spoken Japanese, ra is sometimes used. Which one to use depends on the sentence and the speaker. But from my own personal experiences, I've found that a good general rule to follow is tachi equals polite and ra equals casual. So all those same words again look like this. Watashi ra, atashi ra, boku ra, ore ra, or name plus ra. And this again means we or us. So to finish off, a few examples. Watashi wa Amerikajin desu. I am an American. Watashi tachi wa Amerikajin desu. We are Americans. Atashi wa onna no ko desu. I'm a girl. Atashi tachi wa onna no ko desu. We are girls. And so on and so forth. It's actually fairly simple to alter a sentence's meaning in this way, especially since Japanese nouns are both singular and plural, like the word sheep or deer. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4 sheep, etc. All Japanese nouns work like this. A few more examples. Boku wa otoko no ko desu. I'm a boy. Bokura wa otoko no ko desu. We are boys. Boku tachi wa neko desu. We are cats. So as you can see, all of this may seem overly convoluted to an English native mind, but that's Japanese. If you're really committed to learning this language, you're going to have to accept it. I know that having so many options can be a very challenging aspect of Japanese for many learners. I still struggle with it myself, but it can also be very useful. If you pay close attention to these words, you can pick up lots of clues about a person's social status and personality, which can help you to form better relationships with foreign language partners. So, please don't feel discouraged, keep at it, and hopefully, you've gained something from this video to help keep you motivated. Thanks for watching.